Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no!
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Well, it's Thursday, folks. It's almost Friday. It's Friday Eve. It's Thursday. Well, it has hit the fan. Yes, indeed, it has. And the reason I put old Beto up there in the disclaimer is because, well, he's an asshole. He is an asshole. Every time we get one of these Democrat, socialist, communist butt pirates, they sound unreasonable. Lack of logic and reason. They're just all emotion, all gushing stupidity. Well, I'll tell you what, I picked on Beto today because I'm in one of those kind of moods. And so I'm going to make a wild case. And you think about it for yourself and go, should I be prepared? Do I need a means of self-defense with my food, water, shelter, clothing, and medicine? Do I? Do I have a right to that? Or should I just ask permission? Well, let me ask you some questions real quick before I get into some other thoughts. Is if we could trust the government, we wouldn't need a Second Amendment. Do you agree with that statement? So what you're saying is we can't trust government. Why not? Could it be because history has demonstrated government is evil? Well, wait a minute. Well, if you can't trust government, can't we trust the courts? Because, you know, if you get arrested or do something wrong that the government says and you don't agree, you can just go to the court and they'll fix everything. Right. That works really well. Ask Trump how that's working for him right now. Go ahead and ask that Trump guy. Well, how about this? Policemen won't enforce an unlawful rule. I watched a video the other day of some brave blonde woman, probably in her 30s, doing her very best to educate a cop on the right to travel versus the privilege of driving for commerce. And she lost, which is exactly why I don't make that argument with police, because they don't know the fucking law. They know code, they know policy, and they know police procedure. They don't know the law. Judges don't care about the law, and politicians can't spell law. Folks, now back to the Second Amendment and Beto. Just understand this. There is no codified Second Amendment. It's not codified. It's not put in the Code of Federal Regulations. It's not a statute. You won't find it in any books that start with CFR or U.S. Code. There is no translation needed for the Second Amendment. Now, allow me to digress down many tertiary paths and discuss the Second Amendment. First off, in my opinion, and you can make up your own decision. I want you to make up your own decision. Make up your mind. And think always, well, if I just give up my Second Amendment rights, the government and the courts and the police will protect me. How'd that work out for everyone who ever tried that? Anyways, first off, any translation of the Second Amendment or any of the other Bill of Rights or the U.S. Constitution for that matter, any translation apart from common usage of the time of writing is prohibited. No translating it. It is common law written in a common tongue or the common language. The spirit of the law and the spirit of the Constitution is all men can read it, all men can understand it, and all men includes women, not W-O-M-Y-N, women, it's women, and that has man in it. Anyways, I'm digressing again down, like I said, many tertiary paths. The spirit of the law, folks, is that all men can read it, all men can understand it, and all men can apply it. It is common to us all. It is shared by us all, you see? Now, in many colonial areas, many colonial states, areas, counties, cities, whatever they called themselves back in colonial American times, lawyers were actually forbidden to practice law. It was illegal for them, whether they were lawyers or barristers, didn't matter. It was forbidden for them to practice their deceptions and their lies. Nobody needed a liar to speak about the truth or argue about truth because they were liars. Unfortunately, they have since allowed lawyers back into our country. Anyone want to argue about how awesome lawyers are and how they can be trusted? No, I didn't think so. Folks, common law documents like, I don't know, the Declaration of Independence, it's easy to understand. It's written in plain common English. Common law documents like the Constitution and our Bill of Rights were written to deny government an interpretive opportunity. Understand that we don't need a fucking lawyer to read the Constitution or the Declaration or the Bill of Rights. It's in a common language, common to us, not special language for these fucking attorneys. The law is written in plain English for all to read. Am I wrong? It follows American customs. It follows American traditions. It does not follow legal policies. The Constitution is not based on a legal policy. It's not based on a political interpretation. It was not based on courtroom precedent created through legal falsities and lies. The Constitution, folks, was not written for lawyers. It was written for us. It was written for us. And it didn't rely on that. It relied on the belief and understanding that rights come from God and that government is a servant of man. Now, the same law, the same principles, and the same spirit of how to read the Declaration, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, right? It applies to the Second Amendment, and it applies to all laws, amendments in the Constitution. Nothing needs a lawyer to read it and a lawyer to explain to us how to understand it. Culture, folks, our tradition and our history show us how to interpret the Second Amendment using some common sense and some critical examination of this thing called facts. For example, didn't the King of England tell the colonists they get to have the same quality and firepower as his British army that he sent into America to harass, to murder, to rape, and to destroy the colonists and their businesses and their families and their farms? No, indeed. Indeed, no. The king didn't tell the colonists that they get to have the same quality and firepower as his army. No. He said the colonists get no weapons. And he was in the process of taking away muskets, rifles, cannons to disarm the people. Now, wait a minute. I thought the king makes the rules and we have to follow them. No, we don't. No, we the people do not have to listen to the king or any person or entity claiming to be the sovereign, because we the people have declared ourselves to be sovereign. We the people are the sovereign, not the government. The government only acts as a sovereign with respect to dealing with other countries that it's doing discussions with. As far as we're concerned, the government is our servant. So the king, believe it or not, in England is also supposed to serve the people and protect them. But when the king says, well, I'm going to take your guns, you're like, wait a minute. We're going to wait for the police to arrest us. And then the police arrest you and take your guns. And then they take you before court. And you're like, the court will protect me and my rights. And the court's like, well, the king pays my salary, jackass. I'm not protecting you. Well, but no. See, once you give up, once you say an attorney is allowed to interpret the law for you on your behalf, and you have to listen to them because they know better, you know right then, the moment an attorney starts talking, they're lying. That's the indicator. And I am fucking pissed off at these people. I just am. I'm tired of the government, the deep state, and all their bullshit. Now, I'm not going to do anything stupid or dangerous, harmful, or anything like that. I'm not going to break any laws. I'm not going to violate their precious fucked up statutes. I'm going to continue to do my job and pay my taxes. But you will not take my gun from me, and I will not listen to a fucking lawyer or a special lawyer called a judge who has a black dress. Now, the king said, no. Colonists don't get to have muskets, rifles, and cannons, right? So understanding that the government, right, is not good, not our friends with respect to firearms, understanding that there is no way to say a government seeking to take power from the people is within the rights of a tyrannical government. The same way the king, was he within his rights to take our ancestors, American colonist firearms, so he could subjugate them to his tyrannical fucking iron fist, right? No, to the contrary, American history and American custom says that owning a gun, owning a rifle, owning a weapon is necessary for a free state and a people to protect themselves always and in every way and every day they can afford to muster whatever force is necessary to confound, stop, and defeat an enemy, whether foreign or domestic. The idea that once the colonies formed a government, that the people resigned their rights to the interpretations and arguments of sleazy lawyers, filthy barristers, immoral attorneys, sellout judges, just the filthy magistrates and vomitously preposterous arguments from these fucking people. Look at where we've gotten with attorneys over the last 250 years. They have interpreted away our rights. Except the Second Amendment, folks, for some reason. The Supreme Court, for some time now, is kind of, well, rolled back some stupid. But let me continue, right? The concept of the people giving their rights to a standing army, right? Meaning, well, we have a standing army, the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force. We don't need guns, so let's just give them back to the government, right? This concept of the people giving their Second Amendment rights away because a standing army of the government, right? To the Founding Fathers, that was an equally disgusting interpretation. Yet the government tries to make that case. Oh, we don't need a militia. We have an army. The Founding Fathers, folks, repeatedly admonished themselves, one another, and us, folks, at the suggestion of having standing armies that could be easily used as tools of tyranny, right? Because that is exactly the robust body of militants that were used to terrorize the colonists, right? The British standing army in America, in the colonies, fucking everyone over. The Founding Fathers knew a standing army was not good, and they knew that a standing army was dangerous, and they didn't say the right to keep and bear arms shall be intact and shall not be infringed unless there's a standing army that we can absolutely guarantee through the police, the courts, the government, and judges that they won't fuck us all over. Wrong. Wrong. That is vomitously preposterous as a concept because it flies in the face of reason, history, culture, and tradition. All of which, reason, culture, history, tradition, and our law, all are superior to court policy and precedent. Now, I will talk about precedent being important, but only after it is below the law, folks. Now, this argument about standing army and everything else, right? It served as additional reasoning for the people always having their own arms in the event of a standing army being formed and then having it turned against the very people it was supposed to serve. Now, I have listened, folks, to many persuasive legal, procedural, precedental, and sophistratic argument of these statist attorneys who hate the Second Amendment, and the apologists who want to go, well, you know, it used to serve a purpose, but not so much anymore, right? They are filthy liars who would rape women and children. Hello, DC pedophiles and fruit salad tossers, right? They are filthy liars who steal our land from us. Property taxes is an example of our property taken from us against our will. You don't really own it. You're just borrowing from the government for a fee, right? They're filthy liars, folks, who tax us against our will and to the detriment of our prosperity. Before 1913, 1916, we didn't have an income tax, but now they say they have the authority because some attorney said so, right? See the IRS for more on that. They are filthy liars, these attorneys. And they're going to protect us from abuse, right? Really? Really? The Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Seventh Amendment, 10th Amendments, where have they gone? And in every way, these filthy lawyers screw us over and deny our rights that were granted by the Almighty, not by the government, not by the Constitution. The rights come from something greater than them. Is there any area of life and liberty, folks? I will ask you. Is there any area of life and liberty the government hasn't sought to govern, tax, and prohibit? Is there any area of life and our freedoms the government hasn't sought to deny us? Eat the bugs. You will own nothing and you'll like it, right? The First Amendment and the Second Amendment, folks, protect all the other through action, right? They protect all of their thoughts, they protect all of their actions, and all the other deeds that we can accomplish for freedom and liberty and prosperity. This is, I can't tell you enough why I feel so strongly about the Second Amendment and why I think attorneys are fucking scum, right? Not to mention the fact how much said attorneys destroyed my wealth. They are scum. So anytime someone says, listen to this attorney, he's going to tell you why your rights don't exist. I don't think so, folks. And I don't. I really don't. In fact, these rich people, these rich scumbags, these super rich bastards in the banking cartel at the World Economic Forum, I don't begrudge them for having money, folks. I begrudge them for using their money for evil purposes. In fact, let me give you a fine example. The absolute richest family in the United Kingdom, the richest, folks, the billionaire Hindujas. Guess what they're on trial for in Switzerland? Human trafficking. Well, are these guys some of Epstein's clients that won't be released on that list because they're the richest family? Well, 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 folks. The rich who sexually abuse others, are you surprised in the least? As they screw us over, of course they want the government to take your guns and to use all manner of persuasive argument. Now, common sense, right? I kind of referred to common sense in my little, shall we say, diatribe about the Second Amendment. Remember that other asshole who said something about common sense? Oh, yeah, Barack Hussein Obama, a man who operated under an alias, Barry Soetoro, a man who can't prove he was born in America, yet he claimed he was, and then produced falsified documents, a birth certificate from Hawaii that was a clear and easily demonstrable fraud. That sack of shit says we need common sense gun control. Well, the common sense is right in your fucking face. Go to a place where it's a gun-free zone, you're going to get shot, and you won't be able to do anything about it. Well, the other folks, the other 39 states say, have your gun, carry it loaded, protect yourself and others. Kind of diametrically opposed to each other, don't you think? Anyways, I've had it, folks. I've fucking had it with these scumbags. I mean, get this. The United States, well, what that means Biden and his government, have a bilateral security agreement with the Ukraine now. Line up the World War III start, folks, right? escalation and a financial burden on American taxpayers. That's me and you, folks, to pay for this war that Biden wants. Not to mention the fact that they're pushing this draft through. Normally they go to war and then start a draft. They're like, hey, we don't have enough people. We need to draft. They're like, we need to get this draft thing started right away. Now understand this, though. If Biden can do this, set up a bilateral security agreement whereby the United States government sends money to Ukraine forever and you and I have to pay the fucking taxes forever. If Biden can do that, then Trump can undo it. We need to all vote. Do not fall for the story that Biden is losing badly. Don't fall for the story, folks, that Trump has got this in the bag. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for the story that anyone they replace Biden with is dumb and dead. They will cheat, and they will cheat. And they still may assassinate Trump. We are this close, in my opinion, to losing our republic. And it's a republic, not a democracy. It is, folks. But the law is the law, and we're going to have to play this out. Now, Kash Patel, he was an advisor to Trump. He's a former advisor to President Trump. He has asserted, folks, that the House of Representatives has the authority to arrest and detain the Attorney General Merrick Butlick Garland because of his subpoena noncompliance. He failed to follow an authorized demand by the government of another government servant. Government servants demanded another government servant show up and do as they're told. He failed, folks. I say call the U.S. Marshals. Call in a few bounty hunters who are, folks, authorized to use legitimate power to bring a fugitive to justice. I would love to see the U.S. Marshals used on this one. The Department of Justice, no good. The Attorney General's office, no good. There ought to be someone in the federal government with the authority and the credibility to arrest that sack of shit. Oh, by the way, he's an attorney. I tell you, folks, I've had a nice day. I hope you've had a great day. Oh, my God, right? Folks, explain this. Explain why the FBI has raided the home of the mayor of Oakland, California. Explain how a Democrat, an Asian woman in Oakland, gets raided by the FBI. The only thing I could come up with, you see, if she did something wrong and they had evidence, they could just go arrest her. Why raid her home? You see, the home invasion by the FBI is for one of two reasons. One, it's to go in there and confiscate documents to use against somebody in the court. The other one is to steal documents so that person can't be arrested and have papers that they use against them in court. I don't think the big guy got his 10% from this Democrat mayor in Oakland. That's what I think. That's where I'm at with this. What do you guys think, right? What do you think? Why would they arrest, or I'm sorry, just raid? Raid, right? Now, I think I'm going to end my monologistic tirade here. I'll go with that description with a little information from the government. The national, or rather federal, Washington, D.C., U.S. government Surgeon General, he is saying that social media needs warning labels. That's right. Because, get this, folks, why do we need warning labels? Like cigarettes are dangerous. Cigarettes are unhealthy. And cigarette sales went down. Cigarette sales were already going to go down. But they're saying, well, warning labels protect people. And so they do what? They want to protect 1, 2, 3. Everyone say it together. It's for the children. That's right. We've got to protect the children. Here's the quote. Our children's well-being is at stake, says the piece of shit Surgeon General, right? We need warning labels to protect children from the harmful nature of social media, right? Is the problem, folks, a story on social media that isn't true, is false, is fake? Or are the destructive actions taken by Democrats using social media censorship to control speech and dox users and destroy people they disagree with? Right? Sounds like cyberbullying, right? Well, that's what they need to stop, is kids from bullying each other. What does that have to do with social media stories? Essentially, folks, they're trying to use public health, Surgeon General, public health, pandemic, lockdowns, pandemic, Jim Jones juice, social media disaster, social media injuries, social media death. We have to do this for the children. Social media, bad. Censorship, good. It's a health issue for children. So we have to take action with our rights to curb your First Amendment. That's what this is. Another way to control speech and claim it's for public health. The same way, if we can save just one life, we're going to lock you, your grandma, your children, everybody gets locked up until we say so. Months and months and months and fucking months later. And then some more months. And then we're going to mandate giving you drugs that you don't want. And then claim they're safe and effective when they're not. And then have it come out years later that they lied. But they can hide the information for decades. But it doesn't matter. Class action lawsuits, lawsuits from states, lawsuits from foreign countries like England and Japan and others are started. Shit has hit the fan. Didn't we say something about that back in March of 2020? And ever since then, folks, it has been wacky, insane, off the hook, and getting more and more stupid. More and more stupid. I wonder how you're feeling today. Wow, folks, wow. Am I wrong? Remember who the people are who came across the southern border? Remember those fucking people? They're pouring over by the thousands every single day. Biden's people. That's who they are. Biden's people. I have shared story after story after story with you. You guys have provided me story after story after story in texts, emails, messages, chats, phone calls. Biden's people. Well, we shared a story how a Venezuelan scumbag, I think it was Venezuelan, attacked and captured a 13-year-old girl, drug her into the park and raped her, and then told the court that he filmed it. And God knows where that is, right? Well, we got more on Biden's people this afternoon, folks. They're continuing to attack little girls. Little girls. Oh, by the way, with this new draft in place, so far it's only men that will be drafted. It's funny how all of a sudden the fruitcakes know what a man is and what a woman is all of a sudden, or at least the women do. I'm sure the fruit salad tossing, felching fruitcakes are going to claim, I'm a girl because I got pigtails and I identify as one. Yeah, we're going to see a whole new version of people who refuse to have service. Now, Biden's people, 5 of Biden's people, illegal criminal immigrants, 5 of them kidnapped a 14-year-old girl from her Indiana home, not Chicago, not a New York City home, Not Baltimore, not Dallas, not Kansas City, not Seattle, not San Francisco, not LA, and certainly not Detroit. Fucking Indiana, folks. Most people don't even know that Indiana is a state and that it exists. 5 broke into an Indiana home and kidnapped a 14-year-old girl. We, you and me, are not safe in our own homes unless you have a Second Amendment, you own the weapon and the ammunition and as many high-capacity magazines as you want. Get a pistol brace, get a bump stock, get the best optics, whatever you need, because it's all legal. Courts have ruled it's all legal. The only thing they're not saying is, yeah, you can go full auto if you want. For the most part, it's a waste of ammunition, but, you know, sure sounds cool and looks good. Oh, by the way, these 5 illegals have been arrested. These 5 of Biden's people have been arrested. The ones that kidnapped a 14-year-old girl. What they do, follow her home in Indiana and wait for the sun to go down and kick the door open to steal a little girl, to make her some kind of a slave to these fucking wretches from third world shitholes. This is America, right? Is this the same America that I grew up in? What the hell happened? Seriously. It's not, we're not talking about an American girl who was down in, I don't know, pick a freaking country, right? Colombia, who accidentally made a wrong turn, got separated from her parents for 5 minutes, and then ended up getting grabbed off the street, you know, thrown in the back of a car and hauled off. No, these scumbags came all the way up to our country, crossed the border illegally, took all the freebies and handouts they could from their patriarchal father, Biden, and then found innocent Americans, naive Americans, who believe they're safe in their own homes and have been screwing everyone over. And they're going to keep it up, folks. It's not going to end. No siree, Bob. Now, I think I've said enough for now. I'm going to go and switch it over to your turn at the inner circle, folks. And Beto and every Democrat and every lawyer can kiss my ass. Oh, that was kind of fun. When you know the truth, folks, it'll set you free. Chance favors, right? Okay, well, guess what? We got Uman, always the level-headed Mr. Uman in the shadows with the blue wrench, making sure the show is smooth. He'll make sure I get my Prozac later tonight. All right, Mr. Uman, what do we got, brother? Well, we got name redacted to start out the second half of the show. And I'm glad we have our locals, probably our regulars here. But everyone is invited. If you're on the preparedmind.club or subscribestar.com, you're all invited to show up live every day and share, ask questions. So let's just check in. He says, I believe it used to be that you can't serve in representative government if you have royalty or esquire attached to you. That has to do with titles of nobility and letters of marque and reprisal. In other words, special privileges and special designations. You couldn't use that, right? Now, it may have been that you couldn't serve, right, if you were esquire or knighted. And it has to do with loyalty. Where do your loyalties lie? Now, if you're not an esquire is another designation for attorney. Now, some law schools have a Juris Doctorate, some have esquire. You know, it's just a title conferred upon them by an institution, whether royalty or a college, right? Yeah, but you can't be a prince or a potentate and take that title into America and use it. So yeah, that was highly considered in very well, to be honest, poor taste to try and use your title or position to say I'm a better than you. In England, they have lords and ladies who serve in the House of Lords. Our equivalent here is the Senate, and they think they are a bunch of august statesmen, and they're not. They're a bunch of attorneys and liars. But yeah, you couldn't serve in government. Let me talk about history. When a politician would lie to the people or dupe the people, what would they do to the politician or the tax collector or the government servant who failed to do his job correctly? There was this thing called tarring and feathering. Tar sticks to every fucking thing, and feathers stick to tar. It's a great way to call someone a shitbird, is it not? When did that become illegal? Well, you can't put your hand on people, John, and ruin their clothing with the tar and the feathers and degrade them publicly. Well, let's go back to this idea, right? Serving in government. Right? It's a privilege to serve the people. It wasn't supposed to be an institutionalized employment opportunity to enrich yourself while pretending to serve the people. Yeah, titles of nobility. No. Most people had enough of that shit. You see, in America during the 1776 Revolution, there were people who were sympathetic to the British Crown. They were typically people who had titles of nobility, honorary titles, people who were knighted or had special privileges, special benefits with regard to trade and import-export, that they got these special licenses through the king. Well, they wanted to, folks. They wanted to keep their money flowing. Well, the war, as we know, was fought and supported by approximately 20% of the American population. But John, they blockaded all of Boston and all of the other ports. They blockaded everybody, not just the bad guys, not just the terrorists, not just the rebels. Isn't it funny how rebel colonists in 1776 were good, but Southern rebels in 1860 were bad, in 1861 bad, 1862 bad. You know, anyone who didn't obey the sovereign was a rebel, Johnny Reb, and was bad. Well, they were good in 1776, the rebels. But the idea behind blockading Boston and blockading the other cities was that the people of that city would become furious, put in discomfort, and that they would rat out those rebels. Understand that was an effort to cause the king's allies, those with titles like Esquire or Duke, Duchess, Prince, your honorary title this and honorary title that, your knighted people, and people who had family and businesses back in England couldn't take a chance supporting America. So the idea was the 80% that didn't agree with the revolution would rat out, turn him in, kill him, etc. Well, it didn't work. It didn't work. Anyways, I know I'm in one of those kind of fucking moods, and you'll have to forgive my language. I've just had enough shit coming out of DC and all of these liars. So let us carry on, if we shall. And once again, folks, listen. Fact check John. Fact check me. Believe what you want to believe. Believe what you need to believe. Think your own thoughts. What I'm putting out here is my opinion, my thoughts based on my beliefs, my education, my research, and it's just me. I'm just me. And like I said, driving is a privilege. Traveling is a right. Owning property is a right. Renting from somebody is a privilege. Renting is a privilege. Owning is a right. Traveling is a right. Driving is a privilege because you're doing it for money. Therefore, the government has a right to regulate it to some degree. In any event, folks, in any event, I know these things, but I don't act on them because the police, the judges, the lawyers, the prosecutors, the jailers, the government, they don't care to understand the facts because they operate under public policy, court procedure, government edicts and statutes. We barely have a republic, folks. They've been whittling away at it for years. Second Amendment. They tried and haven't been able to take it, but now they're going after the First Amendment. Understand the reason why it's the first, folks, is because if I can't tell you to fight, it doesn't matter whether you've got a pea shooter or a fucking nuclear weapon. You won't fight because no one told you. You're like, well, no one said anything was going wrong. No one said everything was bad. I thought everything was just fine because no one said anything. Well, I'm fucking saying it, right? We're all saying it. Wake the fuck up. There's a difference between privilege and right. There's a difference between law and statute. There's a difference between servant and master. All right, Badass Diving Frog checks in. He says, John, you know the Founding Fathers didn't want lawyers in the country. Many of them didn't. And I cannot recall which jurisdictions literally made it illegal to be an attorney and practice. The idea, and this was pre-1776 also, folks. Pre-1776, the colonists obeyed the king's orders, but they still self-governed quite a bit. Self-governed as much as they could. And they hated attorneys, folks. Esquires, attorneys, barristers, whatever the name was, they did not like them because they're professional liars. There is no moral code. They will defend a murderer. And I'm going to give you a perfect fucking example. Hillary Clinton, lawyer, defended a child molester rapist in court, discrediting the girl, the woman who said she was raped. Defended a rapist and got him off. He did not go to jail for his crimes because Hillary Clinton lied in court and deceived and corrupted the jury with her bullshit and got him off. And then later, folks, guess what? The fucking bitch bragged about it. Bragged about it publicly. Don't tell me lawyers are good. Now, I've known quite a few lawyers. Peter, you know who you are. Stephen, you know who you are. Ben, you piece of shit, you know who you are and how you sold me out. But I do know some good lawyers, folks, that do their very best to do the right thing. But for the most part, lawyers are fucking scum. And they will screw you over every chance they get. And that's why the Founding Fathers and their fathers didn't want them around. That's why they wanted to write our law in common English, common law, common words, common understandings. So lawyers couldn't control it and say, The word sex now means gender. And you're allowed to decide what your own gender is which means you get to decide what your own sex is. So you can put down whatever you want for your sex. In other words, you can live a fiction, a fucking lie. That's what they want, folks. That's what these lawyers want, so they can destroy America by controlling the language. It's called sophistry. In American law, folks, in American jurisprudence, if the law says so, then the color green is actually red. Now, if you pick up any statutory piece of shit book, whether it's at the federal or the state level, they'll have definitions for the words. Definitions for the words. They can define and redefine what words mean to change the meaning so they can apply it differently. The same way the AT-fucking-F can take a statute that was passed and then interpret it the way they want. And that's how they came up with their gun rules that the courts have now struck down and said, fuck you. That's not how this works. That's why they've struck down Biden, who says, I'm just going to change the meaning of words so we can reinterpret statutes from years and years ago. But they can't do that with the Constitution. You want to know why? Because the Constitution doesn't have meanings for the words that it uses, because they're common words, common language, common usage. And any that are somewhat confusing, you can go back in history and find the context in which they are used. And that's called tradition and culture. And it backs up and supports law. And our law is common to us all and commonly understood. And that's why when one of these freaks comes from another country and they come here, they don't understand American law because they don't understand our culture and traditions. And they don't take any fucking time to learn it. All they're here to do is take advantage of the statutes and the giveaways and to kidnap and rape little girls, women, and murder people. I'm sure there's a couple nice ones. But tell that to the people who have had their family wrecked, their fortunes destroyed, their property stolen, their tax money squandered to support Biden's people and Obama's dream, his hope and change, to fundamentally change this country. Boy, I'm on a fucking rant today. Anyways, let's have some more fun. What I'm wanting to do, folks, is not make you mad. I'm wanting to fire you up, get you thinking, right? I want you to take action. Not illegal, nothing dangerous, but take action. Talk to people, wake them up, share an opinion, do your own research, learn, have strong convictions. Don't be a fucking flip-flop and pancake, right? Well, I'm this way today and I'm that way tomorrow and I'm this way. No. Right. I remember that Robert the Bruce's father had a line in Braveheart because the Bruce wanted what Robert, William Wallace wanted, right? And his father said, uncompromising men are easy to admire. Yeah, it's because they have fucking convictions. But then he goes on to say, right, but it is the ability to compromise that makes a man noble. Compromising is selling out. Who are the nobles? Those are the lords, the barons, the counts, the royalty, the aristocrats. They will compromise, which includes lying, cheating, stealing, and selling out. Name redacted says they're not stealing, John, you big silly guy. They're reappropriating. They're redistributing. They're spreading the wealth. They're sharing the wealth. They're like Robin Hood with silver forked tongues. No, folks, Robin Hood, right? He stole from the king and gave back to the people. Wow, all fun stuff, folks. All fun. I'm having some fun today. Anyways, what do you guys want to talk about next? What's on your mind? And it's Ooman. Oh, shit. He says the latest cyber attack hit car dealer software, a car dealer software provider yesterday. This is, I missed this one, man. I'm glad you brought it up. Still down today and possibly a few more days. Dealerships are not able to sell cars. Bad enough that they can't sell cars when the machine is working and the cars aren't. Yeah, this is interesting. Cyber attack. Man, is it the Russians? Is it the Syrian Electronic Army? Is it North Korea? In fact, I saw a meme today of a pickup truck burning out on some rainbow paint that was spilled illegally on the street. And it just showed this truck doing donuts, black everywhere. And then it showed who's inside the car. And it was Kim Jong-un at the wheel with Putin sitting next to him laughing. I just think it was fucking funny. Yeah. Anyways, car dealers down. Good thing I'm not in the market to buy a car. If they can take down car dealership software, can they take down a pipeline, an oil pipeline? Oh, they've already done that. They've already done that under Biden, in fact. In fact, Biden, when we have serious cyber attacks, says, hey, that's not a government problem. No. We can just shut the whole country down. Right? We can do it with Cerveza bug. So why not do it with the oil supply? Why not just shut off all the fucking power? Leave me in the dark here, underground, deep in the prepared mind bunker. Badass Diving Frog says, hey, woman, maybe it's not working for a reason. I've noticed lately that when a particular industry is about to have financial troubles, this cyber shit seems to show up. How interesting is that? How many electric vehicles, how many EV companies have gone out of business lately, filed for bankruptcy, shut down, laid off half their workers, 3/4 of their workers, 1/3 of their workers, a number of them, I think. Yeah, and let's see. In the 1930s, after the Wall Street collapse, screwing everyone there, the banks turned around and they had a whoops-a-daisy moment, and they had a bank holiday. They closed all the banks, told people, you can't have your fucking money. That's right. They had a banking crisis, so they stopped your money. Cars having problems, car companies, the economy, banks that support car companies. Whoops, we need to shut it down. Oh, we got a monetary problem. The government has spent way more money than it should have, more money than it's got gold. So the government needs to confiscate the gold, 1933. And then, tell you your money in the bank is fine. But then they revalued the gold, which meant they devalued everyone's currency. How would you like to wake up tomorrow and your $10,000 is only worth $4,000? How would you like that? How would you like your retirement portfolio to go from being worth $400,000 to $150,000 or $250,000? How would you like to lose a significant percentage of your retirement because the government can't bring their spending under control? Because some lawyer somewhere said, hell, you're the government. You can always print more money. Who cares? Spend all you want. We don't have to be responsible. That's how this works, folks. Yep. Banking crisis. Oh, we have a cyber attack. Government's failed to do its job right. Oh, we need to go to war. Every time. You betcha, folks. Are you prepared? See, there's one formula, in my opinion, that will save you the trouble that everyone else is going to have. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm definitely not going to tell you how fun it's going to be. But if we have a massive SHTF moment, massive power outage, cyber attacks, terror attacks, social media events called riots, burning, looting, and murdering, Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. The things that you won't be able to get out there because the power's off, the gas is off, the credit card system's down. There's terrorism going on. Sounds great, man. You know, any of that happens. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. And I have it on good account from all the police I've ever talked to. Every time I ask a cop, if shit gets really nasty out there, are you going to go to work? They're like, nope. Going to grab the family, going to bug out, check out. I am a target because of so many people that don't like us. And I'm like, thank you for being honest. So you better have your own, that's right, Second Amendment tool. That's really a good idea. Anyways, folks, I've had a great hour with you guys, but we're not done yet. Mr. Ooman, what do we got, brother? He's popping on and he says, hey, due to the crime in Chicago, lots of stores on Michigan Avenue and the Magnificent Mile have closed, folks. There is now a greater than 30% vacancy rate. Michigan Avenue is like Fifth Avenue, right? The Magnificent Mile is like Fifth Avenue. No. It's like Rodeo Boulevard in Beverly Hills. Yep. They're closing down. They're filling the windows with stuff to make it not look like a ghost town. Yeah, cardboard cutouts. I'm surprised they don't have more cardboard cutouts on the sidewalks to make it look like people are there. Can you fucking imagine that? Let's hear it for Chicago. Let's hear it for their crime. Let's hear it for their gun policy, their fiscal responsibility, their political decisions, their illegal immigration status as a sanctuary city. Whoops. Not the best thing, folks. Evil is everywhere, folks. And I want to tell you about some evil Vatican activity. They're wacky, folks. They're wacky. The one guy that I really look up to who's still alive is the Archbishop Carlo Maria Vignano. What he basically wants as an archbishop is moral decency for all, protection for children, a way to find, a comfort and salvation in your faith. Well, he's been summoned to the Vatican because it's said that the Pope is going to excommunicate him. Folks, the Pope we have right now is not a Catholic Pope. He's an anti-Catholic. Catholicism, to be Catholic is universal. It's the universal church, the Catholic Church. It's supposed to encompass all who are part of the Christian faith. Well, we have an evil Pope who is set on dismantling the great Catholic Church. The Catholic Church that no longer burns people at the stake or crucifies them or burns their feet, forces confessions, torture, right? That's hundreds of years ago. Thank God, right? But the current Pope now isn't going after heretics. The current Pope wants children to cut off their genitals and become sex toys for perverts. That's right. The current Pope likes the idea of drag queens and transgender people. What the heck is going on in this planet, folks? You've got decent people here, and you've got the absolute dregs of humanity over here, miles apart. You can't compromise with people that are that evil. You can't compromise with them. To compromise is to give in and say, okay, instead of cutting the genitals off all children, only cutting genitals off some of the children. How is that right? How the fuck do you get there? Well, they're there, folks. That's all that's important. I just say it's because they're a bunch of evil bastards. And the only way to stop evil is to stop evil. And we're starting the process right now. In 2024, we're going to vote, try and put a decent president back in the White House. And if we fail that, folks, this is why I want you to be active in this coming election. If we fail that, it is shitstorm forever. Sadly, folks, I'm going into my my later years, right? First 50 years of your life are growing up. The last 50 are growing old. I'm going to go into my more mature years, probably fighting every day of my life to help protect my sons and my grandchildren and America and the dream of freedom and liberty. It was a nice dream for a while, right? 1776, 1789, the Constitution, then the Bill of Rights. Defeated evil along the way many times, from bankers to Nazis to communists, to fail from an inside infiltration by homegrown terrorists who are inviting, radical terrorists into our country. Very sad state of affairs, but we have a chance. Our election coming up. Don't take it for granted. Don't think they're just going to give up. The left never gives up. They always double down. And if you apply the concept of double down to cheating, that means they're going to double down on their cheating in order to try and defeat Trump, regardless of who the candidate is. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. God bless America. Always faithful, folks. Faithful to what you believe and you know to be true. You'll know a truth when you see it, read it, hear it, or think it. And when you speak a truth, you know it. God bless you all. Semper Fi.